Hello and welcome to my live Forever in Motion Facebook class. My name is Kimberly Willison. If you haven't attended these before, I'm the Senior Recreation Therapist with the Forever in Motion program. So let's get started with a warm-up and we'll talk about what we need as we get warmed up. So let's start with a march into place. Just starting to get the body warmed up and ready for the upcoming workout. So a few things that you'll notice that I have with me is I have a chair to the side here. I happen to have one with armrests on it today. If you have with an armrest, that's fine. If you don't, that's okay as well. I also have on the other side of me a set of weights, as well as a band hanging off the end of my chair, just so that I have a couple different pieces of equipment to use for the class today. Know that you don't have to have either one. You can have either a weight or band if that's all you have. I will try as much as possible to give you options to be able to use a band or a weight for the different exercises. Some work better with one or the other. And then lastly, I have a water bottle there as well, just so that I can keep hydrated throughout the class. So we would suggest that you have a water as well, so that you don't get thirsty during class. You keep hydrated. So let's start with a tap to the side. So let's tap to the side. So our class today will be about 45 minutes to 50 minutes is what I was going to aim for. This is a nice quick way of incorporating physical activity into your day that doesn't take long time to do. We'll start with a warm up here, get the body going. We will do about 20 to 25 minutes of strength-based training, starting with our big muscle groups and then working our way to our smaller muscle groups. And in Forever in Motion, we always try to do 2 back exercises for every 1 chest exercise. And we do that so that we're reversing some of the natural things throughout our day. So throughout our day, we do lots of movements that are in the front of the body. We're going to strengthen the back side of the body just to strengthen our back just a little bit more to prevent some of that kyphosis or rounding of our spine that we naturally do throughout our day, and that kind of happens as we age. So we're going to reverse some of that by 2 back to every 1 chest exercise. And so that's what we'll do. Then we'll end up with some balance at the end, which is kind of the idea of saving the best for last. We're going to do some balance training the last 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes, and then we'll wrap up with 5 minutes of flexibility or stretching. So glad you joined me today. Let's keep going here. So let's change that from tap to the side to tap back. I always suggest challenging your brain just a little bit at the same time. So right now, as my legs are going back, my arms are going forward here. That's it. Kind of counterbalancing. And then if you'd like to challenge your brain here at the same time, let's try some completely different arms. So keep going with that tap back with the arms, or the legs, and then let's add bow and arrow arms with that. Good. Kind of fun for arms and legs going in completely opposite directions here. So a couple other things to remember for class today. I've got a chair nearby, so at any time feel free to use that. So say for example right now you prefer to do your exercises in seated, you can sit down and you can do the exact same thing that we're doing in standing in seated position. So remember, at any time you're welcome to sit down and do the exercises. Maybe you're comfortable doing the legs, but you'd like to have your chair in front for support. So you'd be holding your chair at the same time, just for comfort level, which is just fine as well. Or maybe you, like me, feel like you're very comfortable with your balance and you don't feel like you need any support whatsoever. So that's just fine too, whatever feels right for you today. Okay, good job. So we've done some taps to the side, we've done some tap backs. Let's now do a heel dig in front. So heel dig in front kind of feels comfortable. Opposite arm to opposite leg here. I've sat for most of my morning here at my computer. So this feels really good. Stretching out through the back just a little bit. I'm going to reach just a little further. Think about taking some nice deep breaths as you're doing your cardio section. Not having to worry necessarily about matching breath with the movement, but just making sure that we're maintaining our good breath, breathing all throughout, not holding our breath as we're doing our cardio section. Great. So I'm doing this class live on March 5th, and you might be joining me any day, but we've got quite a dump of snow here. Maybe at the end I'll give you a view of how much snow we have piled out of our place. I'm on an acreage just outside of Saskatoon, and so we've been doing lots of plowing of our snow. I'm sure lots of you have been doing lots of shoveling to get out of your driveway or shoveling to get out of your yard. That's it. Okay, let's change up those arms. How about let's do arms up, out, shoulders, and down. Let's try that one with it. Good. Again, know that we never have to necessarily match a certain movement with arms, and sometimes it's a little bit more of a challenge on our brain when they're completely different movements that we might not normally do with that particular set of legs. Good. Great. See a few people joining. Thanks for joining me today. Good. Let me know how you're doing, or give me a thumbs up if there's something you're enjoying doing today. Okay, 2 more. And last time. Fantastic. Okay, march it out. Okay, now let's do 2-step touch. Let's go 2-step touch this direction, and we'll go the other way. Ready? Here we go. 2-step touch one way, 2-step touch the other way. Great. So let's do that just a little faster. Know that you can go as fast or as slow as you'd like. Always remembering to listen to your body and to work at your own pace. Once again, you can totally do this one here in seated. It would look like this. You're still step touching twice one direction, twice the other direction. Always thinking about good posture. So whether I'm seated or standing, I'm thinking about pulling my belly button to spine, tucking my tailbone, lifting my chest, and tucking my chin. And we call that the ABCs of posture, which stands for abdominals, bum, chest, and chin. All engaged, or all strong, so that we have nice, effective, long, tall posture. Okay, let's add some arms to that 2-step touch. Again, always can be behind the chair there again, if that's where you feel comfortable today. Let's do a little bit of a swing with the arms. How about that? And if at all any of the things I do today hurt your brain, well then you're strengthening your brain, you're improving your brain health, and that's a good thing, right? Okay, so I'm going to try doing something. I find these arms are easy with these legs, so if you need to stay with those arms, stay with the arms. I'm going to try to do, as we're going one direction, your arms are going the opposite direction. Oh, just a little bit harder on the brain. That's it. So what our brain probably wants to do is this, right? Arms going the same direction as the legs are going. So if you can, as a challenge, have those arms going in the reverse direction. Nice. Okay, let's see, 2 more of those. I don't know about you, but my outer thigh, I'm starting to feel that a little bit, my outer thighs. Last time. Great, and march it out. Whew. Well, how is that feeling? I was feeling those a little bit on the side here. That's it. Great. So we've been doing our warm-up for about 10 minutes here now. We're going to start to bring that heart rate down just a little bit. We want somewhere between a 5 to 10 minute or 5 to 7 minute warm-up. Got our heart rate going just a little bit there. And now we'll bring our heart rate back down before we get into our strength portion. And we do this gradual cool down so that we don't go from our heart rate up, blood flowing all over, to stopping suddenly where all the blood pools in our feet and we get lightheaded and dizzy. So we're going to gradually bring that heart rate down. Let's take a couple nice deep breaths. Inhale way up and exhale. Again, nice deep breath in and exhale. Oh, that feels good to get moving, doesn't it? And let's reset our posture, our shoulders just a little bit. Let's take a deep breath in. Let's bring the shoulders up towards the ears and exhale and drop them back and down. Again. And last time. Good. Let's just warm up those wrists just a little bit here. Let's warm up those hands. I always have really, really cold hands, so good to get the blood flowing to my fingers, to get them moving just a little bit. Getting ready to hold our weight or our band as we're doing our exercises. Good. And my heart rate feels like it's come down a little bit. We've done a cool down for a couple minutes now. Now let's just finally work on that ankle mobility since our heart rate is down just a little bit. So let's alternate lifting one heel, then the other, just gradually. I'm getting a little bit of a stretch through my ankle at the same time. As I'm looking at my ceiling, I'm feeling just a little bit lopsided here. While you're doing that, keep doing a couple more. I'm just gonna see if I can even you out just a little bit. If I lift this corner, oh yes, if I lift this corner a little bit, let's see if that's better. There we go. Just a little bit of my dad's OCD there. Now your ceiling is straight there. Okay, and last time. Fabulous. Now, if you still feel like your heart rate's still a little high, then maybe just do a light march for a couple more seconds here until that heart rate is down just a bit. I feel like I'm back to my pre-exercise state. I'm going to have a drink of water here. And again, I'd suggest you make sure you take frequent water breaks. Feel free to take more than what I take, but I find I do take lots of water breaks. So have a quick drink every once in a while. Okay, so let's start with some big back exercises, back muscle groups. So to work our back, we want to do something for either a row or a pull kind of thing. Let's do a seated row today. So I'm going to use a band for this. I will show you what you could do if you only have weights here today, then what you do with that. But I'm going to take my chair, I'm going to take my band, and I'm going to bring my band around my feet. I'm going to point my toes just a little bit because I find if I don't do that, then sometimes the band will snap back in your face. I have knots in my band, but I am going to give it one loop while still hanging on to that knot just to give myself a bit more tension. So you should have tension right away here. I'm going to bring my hands to my hips and then slowly release. So get started with me here. Hands to my hips and release. Now I can just barely slide in between my armrests there, but you might find this one might be easier without your armrests. That's it. Now if you've got weights today instead of a band, I'm going to give you an option. What I would do if I just had weights is I'd put my legs underneath. I would hold my weights, I would lean forward about a 35 to 40 degree angle. I bring my hands to my hips and I bring my hands back down. Hands to my hips and back down. So if you've got weights, that would be your option as an alternative. Now we also want to make sure we're breathing at the same time. So sitting up nice and tall, exhale as you bring those hands back. Inhale as you release that. You should see my elbows are staying nice and close to my body here as I do that. And you know, if you are in a space where maybe you don't have a chair available, but you've got a mat on the ground, you could always do this as a seated row on the ground as well. You would just sit down with your legs extended out in front of you, but otherwise the movement will look exactly the same. So know that that's always an option for you as well. As you're still sitting up nice and tall, imagining a string pulling you nice and tall, grow a little bit taller. So we've got good posture at the same time. So I'm aiming for somewhere between 10 to 14. You'll notice I never count because more important that we're going to muscle fatigue. I feel like I can do about 2 more here till I'm at muscle fatigue. Feel free to stop sooner if you've already reached muscle fatigue. Or if you feel you're not at muscle fatigue, feel free to do a couple more until you fatigue the muscles. If you go much past 15 or 16, you might want to try either increasing the resistance or increasing the weight next time. Okay, I'm going to use my band for this one here. We're going to go into chest. Now, if you only have weights for chest, really you should be getting down on the ground so that you're actually working against gravity versus resistance, what we're doing. So if you've got weights and that's all the equipment you have, I would suggest either getting down the ground if you're able to, or you could do a wall push-up against the wall if that's an option available to you as well. I'm going to take my band. I'm going to choke up on my band, so I'm kind of grabbing it right underneath my armpits. Imagine like you're toweling off. I'm going to take my feet just a little wider because I'm going to have an option for you coming up here in a moment. So I'm going to take those feet just a little bit wider. I'm going to have my hands in front of me, knuckles in line with my elbows, and I'm going to press forward with hands, and then I'm going to release. Now, if you'd like, you can just stay with that chest press, okay? And then you can bring your legs in a little bit closer. You'll notice that my knuckles are in line with my elbows and my hands are out wide. And then my knuckles are in front of my chest when I'm close. Now, if you'd like, you can take those legs just a little bit wider, and I'm going to add a little bit of a wide-legged squat with that. So now that's completely optional. You could choose to either just do the squat with me, or you could choose just to do the press, or if you feel like you'd like just a little bit of a challenge today, then you could try both at the same time. So a little bit of a squat with a press. If you feel like you normally need your chair for support when you're going to do a squat, then I probably just do one or the other and then have that chair in front of you for support. Good. And I'm actually going to, maybe hard to tell from here, but I'm going to actually stop my hands when they're in front of my shoulders. It kind of looks from the video that they're coming a little closer, but I'm stopping them in front of my shoulders. We kind of reach a dead zone when we're a little bit closer, where we might not be getting as much of a workout. That's it. Fantastic. As I'm doing that wide-legged squat, my knees are tracking in line with my toes. So what that means is my knees aren't coming forward like this. They're not falling back. They're staying in line with my toes, which really is the safest place for our knees. That's it. Let's see, 2 more. I'm starting to get fatigued, so I'm going to stop in 2. Stop sooner if you need to. And last one. Whew. Okay, that's great. I find at this point my shoulders are starting to feel this because your shoulders are assisting with the back exercises. You're assisting with the chest exercises. So your shoulders are working all the time. I'm going to have a quick drink of water. Okay, the next exercise I'm going to do, I'm going to come a bit closer because you really just need to see my hands for this one. I'm going to bring my hands about chest height. And so I've got my camera a little bit higher today, so this looks pretty accurate where your hands should be. So about chest height, or you can kind of see they're just below my armpits there. I'm going to squeeze my shoulder blades together in the back And then I'm going to release, nice, slow, and controlled. Squeeze the shoulder blades together in the back, and then release. Now, I mentioned to you that I'll give you both band and weight options. So if you have a band here today and you're comfortable doing that, remember to do that seated or standing, it's up to you. I'm going to give you a weight option there. Say you only have weights at home, I would take my weights. I would hinge forward at the hips, about a 30 to 45 degree angle, and I'm going to just squeeze my shoulder blades together in the back, and I'm going to lower my hands back down. Now, really important as I do this, that I am pulling my belly button to spine, I'm supporting that lower back. Good. You'll notice that my hands are staying long. Really, the only movement is what's called scapular retraction, or I'm bringing my shoulder blades together back and squeezing my shoulder blades. And that would be the same thing as what we're doing with the band here. We're just doing shoulder blades squeezing together in the back and release. So we are working here mostly our rhomboid muscles, which are some smaller muscles deep behind our scapula or shoulder blades. Good. So thinking about squeezing those shoulder blades together in the back. Imagine you've got an orange between the shoulder blades, and you're going to squeeze that orange, squeeze all the juice out of the orange. Wouldn't that feel nice? Juice dripping down your back. And release and squeeze. Good. Make sure you're still breathing at the same time. Exhale as you exert yourself. Inhale as you release. And two more. And last time. Great. Okay, let's release that. Give that a little bit of a shake. Good. So that was some nice upper back. But again, you're going to feel that a bit in the shoulders as well. So let's switch to a leg exercise. Give our upper body just a little bit of a break for this next one here. So I'm going to grab weights for this one again. I know that some of you might have weights, some of you might have band. For this one here, we are going to do an upright row. So we're going to bring our arms out to the side, and our weights will come out to the side with us here. I'll give you a band option, or I might even just be able to tell you, essentially it's going to look exactly the same as what you're seeing me do. Keep going if you've already got this set up. Don't feel like you have to wait for me, but it would look like this. It would look exactly the same. I would just have the band underneath both feet, holding onto the band in both hands, and then your arms are going to come out to the side. So you always have options. If you only have a weight or a band, you can always modify a lot of the exercises we do for one or the other. So a couple things just I'd like you to notice here. My hands are just going to the base of my chest or about armpit height. You'll notice I'll pause here this time. My elbows are going to stay just a little bit lower than my shoulders at all times. And the other thing, watch, I'm going to avoid shrugging my shoulders at the same time. So I'm going to keep my shoulders down as I do that and avoid a little bit of a shoulder shrug. And as always, we're always breathing. Exhale and exertion, inhale and release. And the last thing I'd probably cue is, and again, I can't see you to know if you're doing this or not, but that we always want to try to keep those wrists straight. You'll see I'm bending slightly to the side, but what we want to avoid is what's called doggy paw, or bending the elbows at the same time, because that can be hard on the wrists. Did I say elbows? That can be hard on the wrists if we do that doggy paw. Okay, I'm going to do two more. And last time. Great. Okay, and release that. Give that a little bit of a shake. Roll the shoulders out. Release any tension that we might have built up. Good job. Okay, so that was our shoulder. Let's give those shoulders a little bit of break and get into some leg work as well here. So let's do our standard squat. We've already done a wide-legged squat, where I had that as an option with our chest press. Let's this time do a narrow squat. Now for some of us, especially women, I find because our hips are just a little bit wider, sometimes we feel a little bit more comfortable if our feet are just a teeny bit wider and our toes are out. So that is a great option there if you prefer. And we're going to sit our hips back at the same time. From the side, looks like this. I'm going to keep my chest lifted. My hips are going to go back. I'm going to keep my hands in front to counterbalance. And you'll notice I just look down slightly because I'm going to keep my head and neck in line with the spine. If I stay looking up, you can notice that it really looks like I'm kind of kinking my neck as I do that. So I'm going to keep my head and neck in line with the spine, and I'm going to look down just slightly at the same time. And when we know squats are very functional in our everyday life, we need to do squats to go on the toilet, get on and off a chair. And speaking of chair, okay, keep going if you're happy with those. If you feel like you've had enough of those, or maybe that was just a little bit too much, you always have options in the chair. You could change your exercise to be a knee extension, where you're going to straighten the leg out in front. And then after maybe doing 6 to 8 of those, you can do knee flexion or a hamstring curl where you're bringing heel to your bum underneath your chair. So that's your option if the squat just isn't working for you today. Maybe feel like you're a little unsteady on your feet today. That's a great option. Okay, can we try 2 more? And last time. Great job. Okay. Again, that was between probably 12 to 14 squats there. That's an exercise that is super yummy. It is just so good for us in our everyday life. So great that you did that one today. Okay, let's do a, you know what, I'm biased. I really like that reverse bicep grip. I find it's really good for building forearm strength. So let's do that reverse bicep grip. And again, I'm going to remind you that you have the option to do it with your band or your weight. And if you have both, then pick one. Don't have to do both like I'm doing. I'm doing this just so that you at home can know that you can grab either piece of equipment. If I have weights, I'm going to have my weight in my hand with my palms facing back. I'm going to roll my shoulders up, back, and down. If I've got a band, I like having a knot to my band so I have something to grip. So I'm gripping my band. I'm holding that knot in my hand with my palm facing back. I'm going to bring my hands to my shoulders and then slowly lower back down. And I don't know if you noticed, but with my weight hand, you can either have that thumb wrapped around the back of the weight, or I brought my thumb to the front. It just feels a little bit more comfortable today. Doesn't change the exercise. Do what feels comfortable for you today. Again, we're going to breathe at the same time. Exhale as you bring the hands up. Inhale as you come back down. And as an option, if you'd like a little bit of brain challenge, you can do reciprocal. So as one hand goes up, the other hand goes down. Let's do that for the last 4. 3, 2, and last one. Great. Okay, and release that. Give that a little shake. Shake that out just a little bit. Maybe release those wrists. Did you feel that just a little bit more on your forearms there? I find that one works a bit more of that forearm as you're having that grip. Helps us to open jars, to grip things. So that's a great one to practice. Okay, let's do our triceps now. So let's bring our band behind our back, similar to what we did for our chest press. But you'll notice for the chest press, my knuckles are in line with my elbows here. I've got a 90-degree angle with my elbows, and my hands come straight together in front. Whereas with our triceps, I'm going to give myself a little bit more tension here. We're going to have those elbows down, And our prime movement, or what we're gonna mostly do, is just straighten the arms this time and bend. So our hands are gonna come straight out in front, making this a tricep exercise, not a chest exercise this time. So let's give that a try. Straighten the arms out in front and release. And if you feel more comfortable seated, this would be a good chance for you to sit down. If you feel like you're ready for a little bit of a break, then sit down and do this exercise instead. If you feel comfortable standing, then feel free to stay standing. And two more. And we're going to keep the band underneath the back here. And that's the reason why I'm going to do a little bit of reaction time with you. Same idea, same muscle group. So give those arms just a little bit of a shake. Release the shoulders just a little bit. This time I'm going to call out either right, left, or both. Okay. So if I call it right, you're going to, as fast as you can, extend your right arm. If I say left, you can extend the left arm, or I'm going to say both at the same time, you can extend. Now the trick is, I find if you see me do it, then you do the same as I do and don't really listen for the cue and then process it. So I won't do it with you. I'm going to actually just call out right, left, or both. Okay, so if you're ready, band underneath the arms, got some tension on the band here. You ready? Right, right, left, left, both, left, left, both, left, right, left, right, left, right, both, 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 left, left, both, both, right, left, both. Nice work. Okay, so the idea is with those is that you're working some reaction time. If you were to actually have a fall, then you'd be able to outstretch your hands just a little bit faster to stop that fall. So that's why we do that one every once in a while, just to improve your reaction time. Okay, nice work. Okay, let's drop our band here, grab a quick drink. Okay, let's do a few more, I call them double dippers. Our double dippers are exercises that work both balance and leg strength. So one of the ones that I feel is super, super important in our everyday life is our calf raise, toe raise, working on ankle mobility. So I'm going to come up to my tippy toes. I'm going to rock back onto my heels. That's it, nice and control. Now, I would suggest that come forward so you can see me just a little bit better, but I would suggest to have a chair in front. So just in case you do lose your balance or fall a little bit unsteady, then you have that chair for support. So imagine I got a chair here. We're going to rock up onto our toes and then slowly rock back onto your heels. And if you need to step back, that's totally okay. That's working our balance reaction so that when we do feel low and steady, we feel comfortable taking that step back at the same time. Woo! Right. I can tell my right side is dominant both times. There I step back with my right leg. So you know which side is your more dominant side by which side steps back. And again, have that chair for support. Maybe today you're just not feeling this one, and that's okay too. And knowing that you can also do this one seated as well. So I'd be sitting on my chair, and then I would simply just rock up onto my toes. Nice, slow, and controlled rock back onto my heels. Good. So this is working ankle mobility. You could see that was working my balance when I was doing it standing, because I was challenging my balance every once in a while. It's also strengthening our calf muscles at the same time as we come up to our tippy toes. And then as we rock back and lift our toes, it's working our shins, or the front of our shin, or our front of our leg. And always know, not only do you have options to do things seated, to do things behind your chair, with your chair through support or no support whatsoever, you always can just not use any equipment as well. So don't feel like you have to grab weight or grab a tubing. When I do, as an option, you could always have no equipment, and you can do a lot of the exercises, say the back squeeze, you can do it without any band or any resistance set as well. And let's just do a couple more here. 2 more. And last time. Great. Okay, we've got a little bit of a shake. Okay, let's go into a few more leg strengthening. Your front side of the body is usually pretty tight, so we're going to work side and back, which I oftentimes do, just because that is kind of the weaker of the areas. Again, feel free to have that chair in front. I won't today, just so that doesn't block, so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to lift my leg out to the side. You'll notice this isn't a very high lift. You'll notice that I'm not lifting very high. I'm only lifting, and it's probably hard to tell. You can't see my feet when I do that. I'm not lifting very high. It's an inch, maybe a couple inches off the ground. So I am not having to tilt my body if I lift my leg too high. I'm able to stand up nice and tall. It's just a slight lift. It doesn't affect my upper body being straight up and down. I lean to the side, which is fine, but I'm not actually tilting to the side. The other thing, just look at your feet. If you find you're leading with your toe, then what I would suggest instead is to actually have that toe in just a little bit and lead with the heel just a little bit. Completely changes the exercise from working your hip flexor when your toe is going forward to your gluteus minimus and medius, where those are the muscles on the side body. Someone very nicely coined these what are saddlebags. So we're working that outside area. We don't usually like those saddlebags, so we're actually working on strengthening that outside of the thigh there. Again, movements are nice and slow and controlled. Let's try for 2 more. I'm starting to feel those outer thigh muscles. That's great. And last time we're aiming for muscle fatigue, where you feel like you're just starting to strain those a bit, and give that a little bit of a shake. Good. Let's work the back side of the body now with a hip extension. So again, have that chair in front there for support if you'd like. We're going to bring that leg straight back. Again, maintaining that neutral spine, shoulders back and down with good posture, and then alternate to the other side. Okay. Now again, maybe at this point here, you're feeling like you're almost ready for a break. Maybe you're needing to do the exercise seated. Feel free to keep going if you're enjoying the standing version of this. If you'd like a seated version, then your option is to have those feet in front, and I'm just going to push down with one leg, contracting my glutes on one side, and then I'm going to release that. Then the other side, push down on that foot and release, and then the other side. This is an isometric movement, which normally we avoid for hypertension or high blood pressure, but you'll notice I'm holding it for 2 to 3 seconds at most. So I'm not holding it for a long period, so that's okay. But if I was holding it for a long extended period, then we would want to avoid that if we have hypertension or high blood pressure. Other side, push down and release. So you see the 2 options. You can now do that in seated, or let's just do a couple more in standing. Leg comes straight back and release. Actually, my last couple, I'm going to add an arm up for that, so you can reach up at the same time here. This allows us to open up the shoulder, work a little bit of range of motion for the shoulder. A little bit more of a challenge on our balance. Okay, 2 more. And last time. Great. Okay, release that, give that a little bit of a shake. Nice work. Okay, let's go into a little bit of core strengthening here now. So let's start with a little bit of our obliques. Again, I'm going to give you a seated or standing option. So you're going to lift one arm up, and we're going to lift up our hip. We're going to bring our hip and our armpit together, and then we're going to release. Hip and armpit together, and release. Now you'll notice my knee bends just a little bit, but really more important is that you're lifting that hip, bringing the hip and armpit together. What we want to avoid is we want to avoid that elbow to knee. Then we really bring into play our hip flexor, which is already a really strong muscle group. Let's instead lift the hip, working our obliques along the side. This would be another one that might be beneficial for you to have a chair in front, just in case you get a little light and dizzy or lose your balance. And then seated option again, looks very similar. You're just gonna bring, again, armpit and hip together and release. Armpit and hip. Okay, 2 more. And last time. Okay. And release that. Let's switch sides here. Okay, other side again. Use that chair for support or continue doing that seated if you prefer. I like to joke to my participants that we're making rolls here. The more rolls along the side you make, the better you're doing or the harder you're working. So squeeze armpit and hip, create some couple rolls there, and release. You might be hearing me breathing just a little bit. As with all of our strength exercises, we're exhaling as we're working, inhaling as we're releasing. You might also feel that stabilizing leg doing some work here too. It's stabilizing or balancing, so I'm starting to feel a little bit of fatigue in the side of the hip. Let's see, 2 more. And last time. Okay, and release that, give that a shake. Okay, grab yourself a drink of water and your band and your chair. And we'll do one more core exercise. Okay, so as I already mentioned, I know some of you don't have a band here today. If you don't have a band, then you're just going to do the traditional lean back and then come back up. So you're level 1, hands on thighs, chin staying to the horizon. Level 2, kind of genie arms, and you're going to lean back. Or level 3, fingertips just behind the forehead or behind the ears. So those are your options if you don't have a band here today. If you have a band, I'm going to take my band, I'm going to bring it around the back of my chair here. Okay. I'm going to bring it around my body. I'm going to start leaning back in my chair here. I should almost do prizes or some sort of game for people to identify at what time they see my animals running around my house. You might have seen my cat Ginger just run by. Okay, so we're going to start by having our bum against the back of the chair or our back. I'm just going to, wherever your arms are comfortable, my hands could just be in the front here. I could cross underneath my chest. I could crisscross my arms. It really doesn't matter, whatever feels most comfortable for you today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to maintain that nice tall posture. Imagine I've just been pulled up a little taller, and I'm going to hinge forward, maintaining my neutral spine, and then come all the way back up. So watch what I'm going to avoid. I'm going to avoid rounding of the spine as I come forward. I'm going to stay nice and tall and straight, reach forward, lean forward, and come all the way back up. We do enough rounding of the spine during the day, so we're not going to do that here. And release. Now if you've got that, and you feel like you can work just a little bit harder, my bum right now is right back against the back of the chair, or the back of my lower back, I should say, maybe is against the back of the chair. Option to scooch your bum forward just a little bit. So now my lower back is not touching my chair anymore. And then I'll do the same thing. You might find right away you feel that core engage even before you start that movement even. And then as usual, once you've got the movement, then you're going to make sure you combine your breath with that. So you're going to exhale as you come forward, inhale as you come back. Okay, let's see 2 more. And last time. Great. Okay, let's release that band from behind. You can put it to the side here. Sorry, I couldn't get my couch quite back far enough this time around, so my couch has been in the view the whole time. Okay, so let's go into our stretches. I'm going to sit on the front half of my chair. I'm going to extend one leg forward, and I'm going to have that knee slightly bent. So I'm going to make sure I don't lock my knee. I'm going to roll my shoulder back and down, and then I'm going to hinge forward at the hips. Getting a lovely, yummy stretch along the back of the leg. This is my favorite part of class, is when we get to do our stretches and our relaxation portion. So to hinge forward is going to give me a little bit more of a stretch in the back of my hamstring, the back of my thigh. I want a little bit more of a stretch in my calf muscle as well. So watch this. I'm going to rock my foot forward just a little bit. I know I'm just barely in the view. And then I'm going to bring my toe towards the shin, or dorsiflex the foot at the same time. So I get a really nice stretch all through the back of my leg. I'm going to sit nice and tall. I've got nice neutral spine at the same time. And I'm going to look about 3 feet in front of me here. And release that. Let's switch to the other side. So extend the other foot out. And again, wiggle my foot just a little bit closer, or sorry, a little further out, wiggle my heel. Knee is soft. Roll the shoulders back and down. Hinge at the hips. And we're going to try to avoid rounding the spine. And then I'm going to bring my toe towards the shin, getting a nice, yummy stretch all through the back of the leg. And as we know, we always need to do for this portion is we always need to make sure that we're still breathing. We're taking between 3 to 5 breaths. Just allow those muscles to relax and lengthen and go back to that pre-exercise state. I find usually on about my 2nd or 3rd breath, I might sink just a little bit deeper into the stretch. And then let's release that. Oh, that feels good. Okay, let's do our hip flexor and quad, which is very important. And I honestly really like my seated stretches. You can always do any of these standing. And so if I wanted to do this one in standing, I would simply stand up and do it. Pelvic tilt, sink down. But then your legs are really working at the same time. I'm getting a nice stretch to the hip flexor and the quad. But then my legs are working at the same time to hold myself up. I love these seated stretches, and then the rest of my muscles can relax as I really focus on that stretch. So I'm going to wiggle my foot back as far as I can. I'm going to do a little bit of a pelvic tilt, tuck my tailbone under, sit up nice and tall at the same time. And I might hang on to the chair just to make sure I don't fall off. If I feel like I'm stable, if I'm holding on to that back part of my chair, then I can take my arm up. I'm going to reach that arm up, and I'm going to extend that arm up. I might even challenge myself or reach up a little higher, getting a gentle stretch for the side body at the same time. Okay, let's switch sides. I often find our stretches at the end are an area that we oftentimes rush through, but this really is one of the most important parts. So don't rush through your stretches. Take your time. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. I'm going to reach that back foot back as far as I can. When I'm in class with other participants, I suggest if we kick our partner behind us or the person behind us, then we're doing this right. I'm going to tuck my tailbone under. I'm going to pull my belly button to my spine, tuck my tailbone, deepening that stretch through the front of the thigh, the hip flexor, and the quadricep. I might start to make sure I'm adjusted. I'm feeling a great stretch there. And if I feel like I've got that great stretch and I feel like I can hold it, I'll take a nice deep breath in, reach the arm up, and extend the arm to the side. And release that. Okay, come back to center here again. Another stretch that is one of my favorites is a little bit of a hip stretch. So what we're going to do, we're going to take 1 foot, cross it over either at the ankle, cross it just below the knee or above the knee, whatever feels most comfortable to you. And I have really good hip mobility, so I'm going to deepen this just a bit. I'm going to bring my shoulders back and down. I'm going to hinge forward at the hips. I might even just gently press on the inside of the knee. That's only opening up through the hip. I'm not damaging the knee at all by pressing on the inside of the knee. I'm going to gently press on the inside of the knee. But note today, maybe today it's just a challenge for you to get that leg up, and that is fine. Work on opening the hip up that way. Don't feel like you have to press on the knee. Don't feel like you need to lean forward. Those are all just options if you need to deepen that stretch just a little bit. I frequently hear people tell me that they have tight hips, so this is such a good one for tight hips. And just about time for me to have another drink of water here. Okay, and release that. Cross at the ankle, cross at the base of the knee, or cross above the knee. And again, gentle press if you like, hinge forward at the hips. Okay, and release that. Okay, those are definitely a couple I'd hold longer if we had all the time in the world. Okay, let's stretch out our shoulder just a little bit. So let's take one arm, bring it across the body. Sometimes I hear people say don't push on the elbow, but there's nothing wrong. As long as I'm not locking the joint, then it doesn't matter. I prefer grabbing on just above the elbow, but just below the elbow is fine. If you want to hold at the elbow, that's okay too. So we're going to just cross and bring that arm over. I'm actually going to readjust a little bit. My shoulder was lifting at the same time. We want to try to keep that shoulder down and try to avoid that shoulder lifting up at the same time. Getting a nice stretch through the back of the shoulder. Feel let's take that same arm up and back. Give it a gentle press on the elbow. I feel like I'm a little bit of a liar. I told you that this would be between a 45 and 50-minute class, and I see we're rounding 60 minutes here. I'll make sure I put that in the notes so you know how long this class is. And release that. Let's have the other arm across the front. I'm going to grasp again just above the elbow here. Give that a gentle press across the front. And we used to do a stretch called Hug a Beach Ball, and we don't do that one anymore. We do too much rounding of the spine instead. So this is our alternate stretch. We're getting a stretch through that upper back without doing a lot of rounding of the spine. Okay, and release that. Good. Take that arm up and back. You can either press gently on the elbow from this direction, or you can grasp from above, getting a nice tricep stretch. And release that. Let's bring those hands back behind, open up through the chest, maybe lift the chin slightly, getting a nice stretch through the front of the body. Let's give those hands a little bit of a turn, rotate so the thumbs are back and down, and I'm actually going to bring those hands together and back and grasp on behind. Nice stretch through the chest or the front of the body. Again, take 2 or 3 breaths. Oh, we don't stretch our chest enough throughout our day. Because of all the forward movement we do, our chests tend to be really tight and strong, and our back's weak and overstretched. So if you can, a few times throughout your day, have your hands behind your back, open up through the chest. Maybe lift that chin slightly, opening up through the front of the body. Great chance to take some nice deep breaths because you've got nice open airways, open abdominal area. Here, take some nice deep fresh breaths. Release that. Let's take a couple finishing breaths. Inhale all the way up and exhale. If you'd like a little plie with that, inhale all the way up and exhale. Inhale all the way up and exhale. And last time. Great job. Thanks again so much for joining me for my Facebook Forever in Motion class. Again, my name is Kimberly. I love to see your comments and something I did that you enjoyed, that I did a little differently here today. I love to hear your comments, so let me know how you did today. Thanks again, and we'll see you back in a couple weeks again. Thanks for coming. Take care. Oh, I was going to show you what the snowbanks look like, wasn't I? Let's do that super quick, if I can do this without wrecking everything. Okay, here, I'll show you our snowbanks. So as I mentioned, we're at March 5th. And so here are some of my snowbank out. So, I don't know, anybody out there got as big of snowbanks as I have right now? And granted, that's plowed for my long driveway, but got quite the snowbank out there. Okay, thanks everybody. Take care, and we'll see you again real soon. Okay, bye for now.